Hello, YouTube land. This is Brentonsawin coming to you from Lexington, Kentucky, the Bluegrass State. The next time I am on the air, I am going to have a flashlight review from Through Night. So, Through Night, if you're listening, you're going to have to wait till the next time. But anyway, today I have something super cool. A fellow who his name is Bo. And he's got a super cool story to share with you today. And we're just going to get to his story. And I catch him as he is on the road in Virginia or West Virginia. And he is super stoked about hearing from me. And I think you're going to really like this. So let's go to our guest. If anyone has a story they'd like to share, you can contact me at brentonsawin@gmail.com. I'll leave that email in the description. And I do need some people to contribute this month and help with the show. And that it would be so much appreciated if you can. Go to PayPal me, link in the description, and God bless you if you can do that. And anyway, let's go check out Bo and his story. You're gonna dig this.
And I was just listening to you. It was about the woman in Ohio. So you are on my screen right now. So
Cool.
I'm looking at you doing a radio thing right now. I'm just stoked, man. I cannot believe you just called me.
Yeah.
Man,
I told you I would,
awesome.
man. You got as cool a story as
Yeah.
anyone else has, Dude, I've just been going through lots of stuff, man. Making some
Right.
adjustments, stuff like that, and life has its turn, its issues, you got to deal with it, and I've neglected to call some people back, man, and I apologize for not calling you back sooner.
No, you're great, dude. I cannot believe I'm hearing your voice. You're the only voice I hear, like, whenever I drive, and I mean, I listen to you like at least 10 hours a day, every day for like the past 2 months. I even re-listen to the old ones, I just cannot believe you called me, man. That's really cool, dude. I mean, I'm looking at you right now on my screen. I had to turn the volume down. It's the one about Isabella Claire from Utah shares Sasquatch encounters.
Yeah.
Man, I'm just stoked right now, man. I ain't ever really, I didn't think I'd ever get to talk to you, man. That's just, oh man, that's awesome. But yeah, man, that's really cool you called. I started getting into it years ago, when I had, my experience, and I didn't really tell a whole lot of people because people would look at me like I was crazy, and I was always kind of like a jokester, and yeah, wow, man, I just can't believe you called me, bro. I'm really, really happy you did, man.
Hey, man, there's lots of people, man, that have stories out there, and it helps when other people share their stories, and it makes them feel more confident to come forward and say, "Hey, I got a story," and dude, I probably have 300 or 400 stories backlogged.
Oh wow!
That are ready to be shared, and so I plan on trying to just start cranking them out, man.
I see. Okay, man, that's awesome. Because this is my first run I had out. I'm going through West Virginia now, and I've been going through the mountains and the hills and everything. Listening to you the entire time, your different YouTube videos, and the whole time I just got my eyes open, looking, going through the woods and everywhere over here. But man, that's really cool that you called, man. But yeah, I know you're probably busy, man, and like you said, and I don't want to hold you up, man.
No, I'm calling you to hear your story. Now look, there's other truckers that have called and shared with me, who go through those regions like you're in right now, and they just keep an eye out, and they quite frequently see something
Okay.
crossing the road or standing on the side of the road. And over
Right.
time, they've kind of learned like what areas would be the most probable areas to find something standing on the side of the road ready to cross, like deer crossings and things like that, to where these things would follow
I
the
see.
deer.
Okay.
And they see them quite regular just by paying attention. So
Right.
you're doing good to be paying
Okay.
attention, you know.
Yeah, and it's only been one time in my life that I had mine, and it was I was pretty messed up for a while because I didn't know what to think and what I'd done, and wow, I just can't believe
before we get
Go ahead.
started though, when I call you on the show phone, it's automatically recording. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, totally cool with that, man.
So
I just
we'll just go with your first name. If you want to give more than that, you can say more than that. But I think people will love to hear. I think people will love to hear like what all you've already
okay.
said, man. They're like, dude, I'm driving on the road, man. It's like, so that's so cool, man. To me, that will
Right.
make the best show, one of the best shows
I
ever. And
I see. Yeah,
I'll also tell you about some stories I have coming up. Okay.
okay.
All right.
Yeah, that's great, man. I just yeah, I mean with mine, I just I'm from Ohio, Central Ohio. The same with the one lady that who gave her story from Central Ohio, and I just started driving a semi about 3 or 4 months ago, and so that's about all I do now. I just kind of, I'm single, no kids, so I just do a lot of driving here. I figured it's kind of, I guess, my calling, considering, the life of a trucker is just, always being gone. But my encounter, it was when I was about 18 or 19 years old. You have to excuse me if I'm a little slow. I'm driving, but I got my Bluetooth on, so I talk and drive all the time. I just, a little nervous still that you called me, man. That's just awesome. I appreciate that, man. And, but,
you're doing fine. You're doing
right.
fine, brother.
Okay. Well, where I'm from, I have a buddy whose grandpa, owns a big, a lot of private property. There's a big lake in the middle of it. It's surrounded by woods, and it was a place in high school we'd always go out and party, because my buddy, he'd always have the key. We called it the lake, it was about 15 minutes out of town, and we'd go out there and, take our beer and whatnot, and there'd be a few of us. We'd go out there and, party, and that was about it. Mostly on just the weekends, it was a place to get away. Well, what it was like a big lake in the middle, and just surrounded by a bunch of woods. It used to be an old gravel pit years ago, back in the 60s and, 50s and 60s. Well, just one of the weekends we were out there partying. Like I said, I was about 18, 19 years old, and it was about 1 or 2 in the morning, and I ended up, saying bye to everybody, whatnot, and I left. And as you leave the lake, you go down a long gravel road, like a, private entrance. You drive about, I don't know, about 5 minutes down this swervy gravel road that goes through the woods, to the entrance. And there's a gate. Usually the last person that leaves will lock the gate, Well, as I remember getting to the gate, and I made a left, pulled out, made a left, and I had a pretty cool car back then, so I remember, giving it a lot of gas, hitting the gas and kind of taking off, like I always kind of did. And as I did, I was probably going about 45, or I got up to about 45, 50 miles an hour. And coming from the driver's side, the left side of the road, it was a little, it was like maybe 2 feet tall, ran across the other side of the road, and I hit it with the front left side of my car, the driver's side of my car. And, at first, what I remember is just his little face. It was about 2 foot tall, all black. Now I know what it was. It was a little, what you call, a juvenile, but it was little, it was, and I say 2 feet tall because I know that his face, or his or her, whatnot, looked at me, looked over right as I hit it, and my headlight was right in his face, and his face was just lit up, and I remember the expression on his face. He was just kind of, it was like in shock, he just, I think, turned his head right at the last second, and just, his eyes were wide open, and his mouth just kind of, I think, dropped, and it was just instant bam, and like I said, I hit the gas pretty good when I come out of the gravel, out of the lake, and it wasn't, 15, 20 seconds of hitting the gas, and I got up to, I think, 45, 50, I'm guessing, miles an hour, and it was just a bang, right as he sprinted directly right into my car, and I jumped up immediately, and my first, reaction to do was to hit my brakes to stop, but yet, at that moment, I didn't know what just happened. I know what I seen, and so I was kind of hitting my brakes, and it was summer. I remember it being warm out, and my windows were down, and, I remember kind of slowing down maybe to 20, 25 miles an hour, because when I hit it, it busted out my headlight and busted up my bumper. I mean, when I hit it, it was a hard impact. Like, I've hit a full-size deer before, and that's what it felt like when I hit it, It was just a sudden bam, it probably made my car go from like 45 miles an hour to like 30 instantly. I mean, it was heavy, I think, is what I want to say, It just, you wouldn't think something that little would have been that heavy, for me to feel it, to make my car slow down that quick. Well, I remember hitting it and it flying off to the left, kind of, I don't want to say flipping, but kind of shot back off to the left, tumbling, and I didn't run over it or nothing after I hit it, but, like I said, I kind of slowed down, remember hitting my brakes and kind of was in shock. I didn't know what to think at that moment, and, as I slowed down, kind of maybe got to, I'm guessing, maybe 10 miles an hour, as I was kind of slowing down, and immediately after that, I heard that sound that you say, that roar, that piercing roar. I don't know where it come from, and at that moment, I was still kind of in a little bit of shock, and I hit the gas. I remember clenching up when I heard that roar, because I didn't know. At the moment, I don't think I was thinking anything like Bigfoot, but I just heard a roar, and as I heard this screaming roar, and it sounded like, it honestly sounded like it was like running as it was roaring, because this, how somebody's like kind of talking or yelling when they're running, they have that bounce in their voice. It was, to me, it was coming towards me. Something big was just roaring, screaming, coming at me. I didn't see it, and I did hear brush, or I want to say maybe sticks cracking, or coming. I want to say coming out of the woods, maybe. That's sorry, I'm going into a way station right now as I'm talking to you. After I heard that roaring coming towards me, that's when I at the moment, I just hit the gas. I just remember hitting the gas and gunning it, you know, and kind of clenching up, you know, as I heard that sound. And for a second, I didn't know if I was going to make it. You know, I can't describe how I felt. I kind of felt like I thought something was going to grab the car or whatnot. And as I hit the gas, it got back up to 40, 50 miles an hour maybe, and I was getting away. And I did. I never seen nothing or whatnot, but, you know, looking back, I think that it was the parent of it maybe that maybe I heard or something whatnot. I'm pulling into a way station, Brandon, real quick. I don't want to hold you up, you know what I mean?
No,
sorry.
Go ahead, dude. You're fine. You're
okay.
We're recording. I think it makes it
Okay.
better that you're going through your regular routine, telling us about stuff. If you got to talk to somebody, just talk to them and just hang on the line there, and we'll go along with the ride with you. Is that cool?
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Usually, I would think.
It makes it funner, you know. I mean, it's like we're on the ride with you, bro.
Right, that's cool. I'm usually on a pretty steady road that I can talk, but this daggone way station just came out of nowhere, and pretty sure I'm good. I'm not overweight, so it's kind of messing my story up, you know.
Oh, no, you're doing a fantastic job, man. You're doing a fantastic job.
Awesome. Okay.
But
so I'm trying to think of. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of every little detail, and like I said, what happened here, I didn't really. I told a couple people, my buddies back then, and that was about it. Okay, I'm getting out of the way station now. So, all right, okay, cool. So anyway, like I said, I heard the roar coming towards me is how I'm taking it. I remember clenching up in my car, and I'm hitting the gas, going. You know, and once I kind of got up to speed and I didn't hear that sound no more, you know, I still was freaking out, but I kind of got a little comfortable, you know, as I got away because, like I was saying, I think it was I want to say the bigger one that I heard, or whoever was with it, the parent, because what I hit was just a little, I want to say it was a little kid, you know, and, you know, actually later years down the road, I felt bad about it, you know, and, started looking back because even my family, grandparents have all went to that lake, you know, and partied over the past 30, 40 years. And in the past, there was always something mysterious about them woods out there in that lake, you know, but not to get off the subject yet with that, but so as I'm getting away after, you know, everything just happened there, I'm getting away is what I want to say, I guess. I remember you go about a mile up the road and you make a left at a light. There's a flashing light and you make a left. You know, I was heading home, and that's the way we'd always go. Well, I remember getting scared to slow down, you know, to turn left. I just wanted to keep going, you know, after what I heard and what I just did, you know, but I hit my turn signal, and I remember turning real quick, and, oh, what the heck? Okay. Sorry, I'm going through West Virginia, and you know how it's all mountainy up here. It's just a lot of stopping and going, kind of. I'm just waiting to hit a nice, you know, flat surface, Ohio area, you know. I've never really drove out of state before. So, but I'm good. I'm good. So anyway, I make the left at that light, you know, still kind of in shock, but I'm still kind of speeding, you know. I'm trying to get away. And when I made that left, you go up about another, it's like a big U. After you turn left out of the lake, you know, then you go up to that light, and you make a left there, and then you kind of go back behind the lake, you know what I mean? Like a big U, and, you know, to head towards my house, you know, and so, you know, and so I turned left there at the light, and as I was going up, I was still kind of speeding, but it was a really curvy road, you know, like I said, making a big U around the lake, and man, I heard it again, and you know, just like I heard the roar coming again, and it was close and kind of coming out of the woods as I was driving, and I almost braced myself again because it was so close, and I didn't put two and two together till later. That night I was thinking, what are these animals just coming out of everywhere? You know, is it like, you know, I didn't know what to think of. Like, there was another one over there, but like I said, put two and two together, and I think that big creature was chasing me, but cut through the woods.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know, because years later I'm thinking, you know, I hit his little kid and he was chasing my car, and that's to this day, that's what I think was happening, that it was chasing me, and because the way it just worked out and the timing. And for it to make it to where I was, you know, had to be pretty quick, even though I had to do a big U and kind of coming back behind the lake, you know, the wooded area and lake. That's what I think happened. I think it was running after me. And, you know, I make it home, and I told a couple friends over the next couple of days, just my close buddies, you know, and they kind of believed me, you know, I think they did believe me, but the thing was, that was our party spot for the weekends, and I was 18, 19 years old, and I want to say but it was really, they partied out there for the next 2 or 3 years, kind of, till everybody kind of went their separate ways, you know, and I never went back out there on the weekends to party like that. I was out there about maybe 2-3 times just to pick up somebody during the day, you know, and my buddies all would try to get me to go out there, this and that, but I would either go with other friends to do something else, or, you know, I never went back out there, you know, and not to jump, you know, that's kind of my story, but it was about 10 years ago, you know, from this point. I'm 35, I was 18, 19 then, so it's been about 17 years ago, you know, when that happened. And it was about 10 years ago, I was talking to my grandpa. I think we were playing cards, and he used to go out there years ago and go fishing, you know, with the owner of the lake years ago. And, well, I remember I brought it up, kind of. I asked my grandpa, I said, you know, hey, did you ever, or we were talking about the lake, you know, him fishing out there, and I brought up, you know, I said something about, you know, I don't know how I said it, if he ever seen anything like mysterious or anything out there at that lake, you know, in the times he was fishing, you know, and the first thing he said, yeah, like what, Bigfoot is the first thing he said, you know, and I ended up, you know, telling him my story, you know. I ended up telling him what happened, and not for a second, he believed me 100%, because he said, you know, back in the 70s, he was out there fishing, and he was all by himself, and it was, you know, late at night. I couldn't tell you what time, probably around midnight or whatnot. And he told me he was driving down that lane to leave, you know, and he had the key to the gate to lock the gate. And he said something big. He said it was a Bigfoot, ran right in front of his car, you know. He said it was real fast, but it scared him. And and you know, back in the 70s when that happened to him, you know, I guess he did tell my mom, you know, which is his daughter, he did tell my mom about that years ago, what had happened to him out there, and it spooked him. And, you know, I never knew that, you know, and that had happened to him. And so, but I told him my story, and he, not for 1 second did he not believe me, you know. He had the same experience almost, you know, years ago, but it was always something mysterious about that lake, you know. And I ain't been out there in years, you know, but that family, my buddy's family, they still own it out there, and I would have to say, you know, that a family or whatnot still kind of live out there, you know, and you know, I think that's just a perfect spot, you know, where they got fish, food, deer, and where they could get away with, you know, not running into no humans or nothing, you know. And
right.
So I mean, that's my story, you know. And that's what happened to me. But I know it's not really as cool as some of the ones I hear on your site, you know. And
oh man, are you
but,
kidding? I mean, to me, I think your story is absolutely very, very interesting.
Yeah, I know when I hit that thing, it was so little. Just years of thinking about it, you know. When I sped up and flew out of the, when I got on the highway, I hit the gas, was peeling out like I always kind of did. And when I got up to speed, I just think, that the Bigfoot, maybe, they knew I was coming, but I just got up to speed so fast that maybe the little one didn't make it across, something like that, just sitting back thinking about why that little one ran out there like that. And my car was busted up, the whole front end, and I remember I was, like I said, I think I was 18, so I think I was still in school, a senior in high school, and I remember telling my parents that I hit a shopping cart, and I don't know why I said a shopping cart, because I remember my dad saying, like, why the heck were you driving so fast and Kroger's are an area where there's shopping carts, and I just told him I wasn't paying attention, and then later I said I ended up sideswiping a car, leading into a lie, because I didn't know how to tell it.
You're trying to change it to something more plausible or something like that?
Yeah, now I look back, like maybe I should have told them what really happened, and my mom and dad are still here, and there's days I think about it that I look back and I want to, even today I want, to say something about it, but just kind of never. And me and my family here, for the past couple months since I've been listening to you, me and my family have all been, I'm talking about my mom, dad, my two brothers, and my sister and her family. We've all been, listening to a lot of your episode, your episodes on YouTube, and it's kind of me and mom and everybody been talking like, wow, maybe they are real, and I know in my head what happened to me out there, so I know that they're out there, and, and I just think...
Wow, all of y'all listen to it?
Me and my family, yeah, I got them listening to you, not as much as I do, but Mom, she's a really big, I am too, big Christian. That's why she got into listening to you, and she likes what you say, bringing the Bible to it, because it kind of makes sense more to her. Like, okay, well, that does make sense for these creatures to be
awesome,
out here.
Man. I mean, I can't believe it sometimes, the people that listen. I mean, I get so many times that people say, me, my family, and my, and they tell me their whole family's listening. It's like, man, you got to be kidding me. It just is so shocking that people are all
right.
I figured I'd have a few people hiding and watching or something, but
right.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I see. It's just I started getting a few months ago just trying to look at different Bigfoot stuff, to research it a little more, and started hearing the encounters that people that you've talked to are saying, and hear what you say. It kind of it just seems, I know you guys believe it, so I can believe that they're real to where I can kind of listen openly, I think is what I want to say. Like, I can agree with what you guys are saying. And as far as like, the government hiding them and a lot of people complain. I mean, I'm driving right now through West Virginia. I wish I could take a picture and show you of just these mountains of woods and trees and just, I'm going up and down on the...
And when you're driving through those areas, dude, there are so many places for these things to live, aren't there? Yeah,
just hundreds of thousands of miles, I mean, of just of these woods that nobody ever goes into, and that they got plenty of room to live, and it's just, and people always say stuff about the bodies, why there's no body, but I think there are,
I don't mean to cut you off, but
No, you're good.
A lot of times you hear people say that we're crowding them out, that they have no place to live anymore. That's not true.
Right.
Most of the land in this country is unsettled. Most of it.
Right.
I mean, you're talking about, I don't know what the percentage is. I used to have some numbers on that, but when you look at you get on Google Earth and look and see, just Google national and state parks and see how much of the land is not people living there.
Right.
And then and that doesn't even count the areas that are just owned by, I mean, there's been times I went out and hunted on a piece of land that some friend of my friends owned that was like 1,800 acres, or you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you got hundreds and thousands of cases like that. Then you're talking about many thousands of acres owned by private people, and then many hundreds of thousands of acres, millions of acres owned by the government that make these. I think that the government makes these state parks, that they make these areas, because a lot of times when you have dogman reports or Bigfoot reports too much in an area, the government will come in and buy an area and make it a state park because they know they have to. You know what I mean?
I see.
We're encroaching on them. We're not running out of land. It's just
that's true. Especially driving a truck this past few months, just seeing how much. I think that's what got me into it here so much lately. Listening to you was just, driving up to the Cleveland area, down. I haven't done a lot to Kentucky yet, but I'm going to be starting. They're going to be putting me on runs down that way. But even coming over here from West Virginia, Pennsylvania, it's just like
West Virginia is crazy. How much mountainous area out there. It is unbelievable that during World War II times that they even made a highway to go through there.
Right. I'm driving on it right now over this big kind of bridge right through it.
It's insane, isn't it? They did that by hand, dude. They didn't even do that with equipment. Are you kidding me?
I was just thinking about that, looking over to my left and right, going over this bridge through the woods and up in these mountains, and man, I think about that all the time, man. And especially the thing is, I'm watching you all the time as I'm driving, and it's just, I look at everything, and when you start talking about areas they could live in, and the sky's the limit with where they can, where they could be and live. And a lot of people will say, there ain't been no bodies of evidence, or I've never seen one. Well, nobody goes out there and all that.
You have never seen a body from my family.
Right.
Why do you think they're going to let their family have bodies for you to look at?
Right. Good point.
They're not dumb creatures, man. They're not like dumb apes. And go look at Utah on the map and go look
That's
and
what
see.
I was going to do.
Yeah,
I heard you say that before.
I've said that several times, dude. That the state of Utah has so much national forest. It is incredible. It's like, dude, even if all the Bigfoot lived there, there would still be enough area for a lot of Bigfoot. You know what I mean? You take places like Israel, they have, several millions of people that live in a smaller area than that. You could have millions and millions of people live in areas less than one of the state parks in Utah.
I agree. I mean, even I think too, like you said, a lot of landowners who own a lot of private property. I think you said something about it before, and I was thinking about it as far as, even if they have Bigfoot on their property and they're not bothering nothing and they've seen them, I don't think they would run out and make it public because, every hunter in the area would be on their property.
I have a picture I have a picture from when I think I can't remember. I think Don Neal. Don Neal came on the show. He's a Bigfoot researcher from Kentucky, and he sent me a picture from a case in Garrett County here in Kentucky, and there was a series of 6 pictures that was taken on a trail cam where the guy that owned a farm. He owned like.
I listened to the whole story of your thing.
I can't remember how many acres he owned, but he owned a lot of acres. It was, like 1,000 acres, something like that. And he was wanting. He had deer feeders and stuff on his property, and he was, he did hunting, he did farming, and all that kind of stuff. Now this dude has money. Right. He don't need no attention. He don't care about no attention, nothing like that. But he was having something stealing feed from his feeders, and he wanted to know what the heck. He didn't know if it was a bear or if it was people or what. So he set up a trail cam, and he caught 6 pictures. And I ended up getting one of these pictures, but there were pictures that were better than what I got. But the one I got, dude, was a Bigfoot.
Yeah, I remember
scooping into. He was kneeled down, scooping into the feed, and he was eating it. You could tell his hand, the tongue was sticking out, like the hand had went back down and scooped back in, but the tongue was still sticking out, like it was lapping it up, This Bigfoot had pointy ears, dude, like Spock.
Right. Yeah, that's what you said. I watched that. I've heard that show probably 2 or 3 times within the last couple of weeks.
I'm telling you, man, this was a freaky deal, man. I'm telling you. He had kind of a really long, funky nose, man. Kind of like the Darrow thing that I have on my channel. Not that long, but he had a witch-looking nose, man. It was just a very strange-looking creature, dude, but it was hairy all over. He had a really tall forehead, like he had the elongated skull. Like if you were to take everything off the skull, it would be an elongated skull. So it had a really high forehead. So, and the hairline was kind of like a receded hairline on an elongated skull. So it had a really long forehead, had these lines that went vertical up the skull. Very scary looking creature, dude. I'm telling you, I wouldn't want to run into it in a dark alley or the woods either. You know what I mean? The other pictures had the female, the juveniles, the whole family. You know what I'm saying? In the pictures, I still have a picture of the male. And anyone who I am in person with that wants to come see it, they come to me. I will show you the picture. And
that's awesome.
You're going to be like saying, "Dang!" He told me I could share it, but I have to be very discreet about it. So if you're in my presence, I'll break the picture out and I'll show you the picture, and I guarantee you're going to be thinking, "Oh my gosh, what the hell?"
I know you got the good stuff. I was thinking about that during your episode. The people you talk to, see a lot of, like on YouTube, you see so many, a lot of people say a lot of them episodes are sightings on YouTube.
I've got other pictures, dude. I've got Bigfoot pictures with them standing there looking with nose piercings,
man,
with bone, like chicken bone through their nose.
Like yeah, I seen that one tonight earlier that it was on. See, look, I'll turn up my radio, and you're on it.
I mean, I've got lots of different pictures, man. I've got lots of pictures. But
you're on.
You can't always just share everything when you want, how you want, and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly right. I understand completely. But like I was saying, a lot of people say a lot of them YouTube sightings, like Bigfoot caught on camera, are fake, whenever I try to tell somebody, try to talk about Bigfoot, tell them about how I think it's real, whatnot, a lot of people, say, oh, that's just somebody dressed up. But, I've never seen a Bigfoot costume in my life. And I don't know where all these thousands of people will get Bigfoot costumes and go out here and make all these hoaxes, and I don't think, I could see how people, would do that, I guess. But, a lot of them, you can just tell by looking, a lot of your stuff that you show, you can tell it's authentic, I think, and I just, man, like I said, I know you probably got some really good pictures, man, and I'd love to have an experience, but on the other hand, maybe not, like, as far as being up close and seeing one, and like, but, my experience wasn't too friendly, I guess, is what I guess, not the experience I would have liked to have with them, and, but.
I know of a few places to go if you wanted to if you wanted to have an encounter that wasn't going to be too dangerous.
Really? And that's just, I hear all the stories that you have on YouTube, and I just always think, like, God, I wish he would say where exactly that's at, because I would, I don't want to say I would go there, but I would just, man, it's just, I would like to, I know, in the future I'm going to get a lot more involved in it, when I get more on my feet, whatnot, and where I want to be, and as far as, I don't know, it's just, I'm really interested in Bigfoot after the experience I had, and, and knowing that they're really out there, and so many people are just against it, or just saying it's not real, and I try to tell people, like, a lot of people ask me a lot of questions, too, mostly family, and I answer their questions, as far as, what I learned from you, too, as far as the Bigfoot, they do kind of travel a lot, or migrate, I think is the word, because, if they stayed in one area, all the wildlife, of course, is going to run,
You think about this, you watch, like, Nat Geo. The great apes that they cover on those channels, they have a migration area of maybe 30 acres.
Right.
40 acres,
right.
50 acres, 100 acres, whatever. It depends on how big their troop is. So they go through the circuit of, depending on, like, they might have fruit trees on one end of the circuit. They might have deer that migrate through on the other end of the circuit. They might have fish that are on this end of the circuit. They might, it's hard saying.
Right.
The grasses and things like that, cattail roots, whatever the deal may be. But they're making a big hunk of a loop through a certain area, and that particular alpha male will defend that area so he can feed his troop.
Right.
So the bigger the troop, the bigger the area. And
I see. Okay.
It's no different from the great apes. If you watch those shows, it really is quite intriguing because they do the exact same thing. And
right, okay.
But Bigfoot's a little bit more of an opportunist because he's going to hit the dumpsters. If there's
right.
You know what I'm saying? If there's a dumpster around and people are throwing stuff out, they're going to sneak over and hit the dumpster, man. They're going to get the donuts. They're going to get the whatever,
Right.
And they get caught doing it once in a while, And sometimes people are feeding them. Sometimes people have gardens, so they'll go hit the garden over there. And they'll make a loop through an area and hit, like, that garden, the apple trees on this guy's farm. They'll hit and might even take a little bit of the livestock.
Right.
You've heard all the stories, so you can kind of get a picture of what they're doing. They're opportunists, and they're going to take the opportunity to do what the heck, what needs to be done to feed the family, and
Right.
and that's just what anything would do that lives and has to breathe and eat. I mean, we would
Right.
do the same thing, man. If we were living out there in the woods, we would be taking the loop through, and there might be a farm over there with some chickens. We're going to go over and snag a chicken or two. But we ain't
I agree. And I think
we ain't going to snag all the chickens because they're going to know, you know.
right. And I agree with what you said on one of your things as far as, you know, people, I don't know what was going on in the episode, but I remember the question come up as far as, like them being made, like them, you know, I remember you telling a lady to be careful. And one lady, I can't remember which one it was kept having experiences, and she thought it was funny, you know, like she was used to be an old vet or something, and she woke up sleeping in her Jeep one morning, you know, at a campsite, and the campers had all left, and she finally seen the Bigfoot outside of her car and was taking the peanut butter. I think that was the same lady, but back to what I was saying, like what you said as far as they're kind of like us as far as you got, I think that like that you got good ones and you got, you know, bad ones, you know, some are, I think, you know, some are, you know, got not a good heart, but, you know, are nicer, I think, than others. I think there are bad, you know, more violent ones, and I think there probably are some out there.
There are a lot,
you know.
They're very human-like, man.
Right.
The Bigfoot are so much human-like. They, you know, if you were to take the Genesis 6 thing, they are very human-like. They are Nephilim.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So they're going, even though they might not look like that, you know darn well they have human-like intelligence because they're doing things that humans do. And so sometimes you have these things that will take women. And
right.
You know what
okay.
I mean? So why do you think there's not going to be a certain level of crime having to do with these things? And so when we look at the cases like the game warden talks about, other researchers I've had on that talk about people coming up missing, or
right.
David
like JT,
Pilates, JT,
okay.
or even you know, the what's his face, 411 missing persons.
Right.
Know.
I looked him up. He was, he's on my, after I heard him, you know, the Dark Water guy. Is that who you're talking about? Dark Waters?
No, not Dark Waters. I'm talking about,
maybe not.
The David Pilates, he wrote the thing about the national parks, the missing persons.
Okay.
It's called 411 Missing Persons, and it's about national parks. There's a hundreds of thousands of people come up missing every year in national parks. They come up missing, and not every case is someone just wandering off the trail. Something happens where they get abducted. Something happens where every once in a while a kid will get taken, and then the kid will be found 50 miles away on top of a ridge or something. There's no way that kid got there, you know.
And
there's abnormal things, and so they, you know, the suggestion is that there are things out there in the woods that take people for different reasons. Sometimes you never find them. You find their clothes folded and laid on a log. You know,
I remember that one. That's and a lot of people I've heard too, when kids come up missing, you know, in them parks, you know, national parks, I've heard a lot of, you know, it's probably a bear, or, you know, they always blame it on, you know, something like that, you know, the authorities do or whatnot, or, you know, park rangers, or, you know, and I think, you know, and also in one of your episodes I heard, you know, somebody say, I just listened to him tonight. I can't, but he was saying his wife was Melanie, I believe, when they had their experience in the woods. I think I think his wife was Melanie or something, and they walked right up on it. He had pictures on your pictures on the on one of your episodes. I was just trying to pull it up real quick. I got it right here on my iPad as I drive. I can't well, it's on there somewhere. But
yeah.
it's shit, I don't know. It'd take me, if I wasn't driving, I'd pull all this stuff up, man. All your stuff right here. What was I saying as far as but anyway, yeah, in the national parks, as far as I think the government, like you said, does buy and protect them animals, for food as far as for the Bigfoot, because, if that ran out, I do believe, like I heard you say, they probably would venture more out of it and take, more children as far as food and whatnot,
right.
and I just totally agree with everything you say on all your stuff, man. I just got into it really big the past couple months, listening to a lot of your stuff.
I mean, it's logical. It's a logical situation, and it's not
exactly.
the case. It's not always the case, but it's logical
right.
for some of the cases. It's logical, and so you can't always just dismiss it, and therefore people who go out in the woods need to be careful and make sure that they're paying attention. But most people are going to be wondering about your case. When you had that little Bigfoot dart across the road, what kind of car were you in?
I was in a Pontiac Grand Am, a 95 Pontiac Grand Am, a 4-door sedan. It was a GT, and I kind of, being in high school, you kind of soup up your car a little bit, and it was a cool little, car for me in high school. It was pretty fast, and it ripped off, busted the bumper, the headlight, the left side right there. I mean, when I hit it, I remember a thud, after I hit it, I remember hearing a thud, because I think I hit it so hard that when it flung back, I remember hearing like a bowling ball, like hit if you drop a bowling ball in the concrete. Or if you ever heard somebody's fall down and hit their head, fall down backwards and hit their head on concrete, that thump, I think, that when I hit him, he flung backwards. I think he hit his head to get into details, hit his head real hard on the concrete. It was just a thump, and then it was kind of, and I feel bad saying this, kind of, but he was flipping backwards and just tumbling, and I hit him hard. Like I said, it was hard impact, when I hit him, it was...
Do you feel like it killed it?
I think I killed it. I'd have to say that impact, and as hard as I hit it, I think I almost know that I don't think he could survive that. And I felt bad and still kind of feel bad, because all in the years of everybody going out to that lake out there, all the way back to my grandpa going there when he was a little bit younger, the Bigfoot out there, they never bothered nobody. And I know more people have seen sightings out there, because here and there over the years growing up, going out there, I've heard different stuff. People talk about Bigfoot, but I know there's something going on out there, and
yeah, well, I mean, you didn't mean to kill nothing. That just happened.
Right.
So
yeah.
You had something that ran out in front of you, and for as little as it was, did it seem way too solid to do that much damage?
Right. And that's what I thought. For as little as it was, it just had the way. You wouldn't think that it would cause as much damage as it did, and it would have been that hard of an impact. You think something that little, like a human kid, would just bounce off. But, I just think this thing has some weight and maybe a little heavier than most humans, because I've hit a full-size deer before, and it, maybe weighing 200-300 pounds. The deer did, and that was some serious impact. And it almost felt the same when I hit that kid. It was just a solid little creature, and like I said, he flew backwards, and like I said, I know I had to kill it. I hate to say that, but I don't think he survived. And I heard him like flip back, and I heard his head. I remember that with my window being down, like a thump, a real hard thump on the concrete, and I think that was his head when he, like I said, to get into a little bit of detail, and I remember his face, or his or her, his face when he darted, it was fast.
When it looked up at you over the bump, over the top of the hood, what do you remember about the facial? The face.
I just remember his face was right at my headlight, and I remember my headlight lightened it up perfect. I remember his face like it was yesterday. Every detail. I remember his eyes like were wide open, like he was kind of, like you say, you look like a deer seeing headlight, in front of headlights. I think that's exactly how it was. His eyes were wide open, and I could swear there was white in his eyes, like the middle was black, like the main part, but there like a human eyeball, like there was white. I remember seeing white around the like dark brown or darkish, part of the eye, people, so I remember there being white around it, and it was like maybe skin on his face, black. It was all black face. I hear you talk about different kinds of Bigfoots, and I want to say this one was more like the ape kinda, the more it looked like an ape in the face. I remember his little ear. I remember seeing his ear on the side of his head. It would have been his right side of the head. It was a little kind of ear, not like maybe kind of like a human ear, but it was different. A little ear, and his mouth was open. I can almost swear, I think, I've seen his teeth, and just his mouth was open, like dropped, kind of like when he turned his head and looked, my headlight was right there in his face, and I'd just seen all the details, and he was just in shock. I remember that, the impression on his face. He was just like turned and looked, and like he knew that he, was about to get hit. He was just kind of,
right.
Like he was just like, oh, like just that shock look. You could tell.
It's just an accidental thing happens. So after you hit it, it wasn't long after that you started hearing something roaring and chasing.
Yeah, it was. I hit my brakes as I think that was just my first intention to do. Is just, you hit something, you just slam on your brakes, and I kind of slammed on my brakes at first, and then I kind of didn't, and I was just kind of like, just in shock, kind of as I was slowing down, kind of looking back a little bit, and as I got, I think about 10 or 15 miles an hour, I was kind of coming to an immediate stop, and I just heard, I heard brush, sticks breaking, kinda. I didn't really look back to see where it was, but the woods are right there alongside of the road, and I was hearing this roar. It was definitely getting closer. I could say that, and at that second, I hit the. And then I don't think I knew what else to do, and because I was scared. I remember clenching up when I heard that roar, that loud scream, and I could tell something was coming at me, and I just hit the gas, and even up until I got to 20, 30 miles an hour, I was just kind of clenched, like it's just something was going to happen. I don't know what it would have been, if he would have jumped on my car or grabbed me out of the window, but as I got up to 40, 50 miles an hour, not exact for sure how, but as I started getting up faster, I could tell I was getting away, and the scream and roar got quieter, because I know that, I was getting away from it all, and, but I know that, and I haven't heard anybody ever really talk about that scary, piercing roar you know, that I heard until I listened to your radio, you know, or to your station when you talked about it, how people talk about it. And I could have swore it, you know, like it felt like on Jurassic Park, like there was a Tyrannosaurus Rex, you know, right behind my car, you know, and just something like something big and roaring, and it scared me. Yeah, I know for a fact I've never been that scared running and knowing I had to turn left about a mile up the road. You know, I remember slowing up, but I was still speeding, turning left at that light, and all these wiggly roads I was on, you know, kind of making a big U back around to the, you know, the far side of the lake, woods area, and then I heard it again, you know, and it was close. You know, that thing, if it was that same one, I think it was, you know, it had to run super fast to get to where it was, and it was just, when I heard that scream and roar again, it was, if I hadn't have been 5 seconds slower, or if I was 5 seconds slower, I think that thing would have caught me. You know, it was that close, I think.
Yeah, and, you know, I was thinking about that they can follow the sound of your engine by listening to the infrasounds and things like that. So they can hone in on the sound of your vehicle and cut through areas to try to intercept you. And you know, so you couldn't, you know, you're going by how many miles on the road. These things are not going by that, you know.
I see. Okay. Right. So, go ahead.
So you went a certain amount of distance. It almost caught you, and then you take off. It's listening to the sound of your engine that makes sounds, all kinds of different sounds that are in the infrasound range. Maybe even an ultrasound. You know, that they can hear over long distances. So it's taking off and it's cutting through because it was probably very distraught on what happened.
Right. Okay.
And
wow, I never thought about that.
Yeah,
never thought about that.
Yeah, so you went across a long range and it was trying to pursue you. But I think over time it probably would have thought about it, and it's like, you know, it just something that happened.
I agree. I just, you know, even that night that it happened, if we would have had cell phones, I would have called still my buddies and a couple girls then that were still out there at the lake. You know, I would have called them and told them to get out of there, because I remember thinking, getting home to my parents' house, going down in my room, and I don't know how many hours I was up scared. I think I was just thinking, wondering if it followed me home, or I was just scared, you know. And a couple times I remember looking out the window, and then on the other hand, I was thinking, scared for, you know, my buddies out there, still out there at the lake, if that thing would have attacked them, you know, from what I did. And I remember the next morning, vaguely, I remember calling one of my buddies who was out there, calling his mom's house and asking his mom, you know, if he made it home, you know, if he was there, you know, if I could talk to him. And she told me, she said that he was still asleep, you know, but yeah, he made it home the night before. And I was just relieved. I didn't care about talking to him, just glad that he made it home, you know. I started thinking, you know, that thing was going, there was no way I was going to go back out there, you know, and try to tell them what just happened, you know, to get them guys out of there in case that thing was going to retaliate, you know. And, yeah, I didn't go back out there on the weekends like they did every weekend and partied. I always come up with an excuse or did something with some other people, because I think when you said something about the car, I remember at one moment back then, I didn't want him to recognize my car because it was a shiny red, Grand Dam. I remember thinking not to ever take my car back there. You'd recognize my car and know that it was me that did that. Now, I remember thinking that, though. But I never thought about the sound of the motor and little stuff like that. That. But yeah,
the reason I know that is because of cases like in Utah that I've gotten that I've never, I've not released yet. I'm working on releasing some very, very interesting cases from Utah. But
that'd be awesome.
It seems that they follow the sound of the vehicle for long distances. And
wow.
And we were kind of puzzled at first about, like, how do they hone in on you that far, But they can hear those sounds over long distances, because we were talking about infrasounds and things like that they were using on them,
Right.
So,
okay.
Yeah. So, and the visuals too, if you have a red vehicle,
right.
I think they can certainly look and see you had a red Grand Am, And
it just stood out, and but yeah, but I think still to this day, the family, they still own that lake out there, and I'll never go back there by myself. I know what's going on back there, and I just know that's one spot. That's the only spot I know of that I could say that I know that there's Bigfoot out there, and after my grandpa told me that, years prior to that happening to me, he had his, and I think there's been a lot of sightings out there from the family tree that own it, and I know it. It's just, and you always had that feeling, even before that incident, when I was growing up, going out there as a kid to the lake, you always felt like something was watching you, or always, something in them woods. You just always sense that, but, yeah, man, I'm still stoked that you called me, man. It's funny hearing your voice, I hear your voice 5 hours a night at least, listening to the because I
appreciate that for sure.
Well, no, and I support what you do, and I totally respect what you do, because they are real. I mean, I say that to people, that they're real, and they kind of look at me like, yeah, whatever. But I just, what you're talking about is, all this, it's definitely real, and I think like you say, the government's, definitely kind of covering something up, and I mean, people, it's because it's definitely going on. They're out there, and they're just, I don't know not much about the whole alien thing, and I think I've heard you say it too, as far as Bigfoot having anything to do with the alien thing, because I think Bigfoot's just a real, like, just an animal. They're just another human animal, whatever. It's a creature just out there in the woods, as far as compared to ghosts and, and alien, so it's definitely real, and I think I think people just, go ahead.
Sometimes people have these other kind of experiences along with it. And it might be because they have an interest in the whole phenomenon also.
Okay,
but who knows? I mean, but I think if there are UFO kind of phenomenon and stuff like that going on out in the woods, that they would probably be looking for these creatures too, because they probably are descendants of the ones that are involved in that.
I see. Right.
So and it sounds all crazy to some people, but for the most part, though, I just wanted you to share your story because I thought it was so interesting.
Sorry, I ramble.
No, if you would, tell what you want to about you. Your first name. You can tell your first and last name, or whatever you want.
Right.
And,
well, I don't want to say too much. I mean, I would to you, you know, but as far as, you know, my name's Bo, and, you know, as far as just because of people that, you know, haven't had an encounter or think Bigfoot's not real, I don't know as far as how people would act, you know, towards me. And I think that's kind of how.
So I'm just going to say Bo from Ohio. Is that okay?
Yeah, from Ohio. Yeah, you know, and I know that over the next few years, more and more is going to come out, and I think with your show, you know, it's going to get bigger because, you know, something's going to happen. Something's going to give the next few years, you know, to where it's going to look back and everything you talk about and everything you're doing, you know, is going to, you know, it was all real, you know, and to people who are saying that I'm crazy or that this stuff's, you know, just, you know, all made up, you know, to, you know, all them people, you know, they're going to see one day when it does all come out, you know, once, you know, they're going to see that what you're doing, you know, is all real stuff, you know, it's not just a hobby or whatnot, you know, of something, a myth, you know, it's just, but yeah, like you said, I didn't mean to venture off. I ramble a lot, you know, and, but yeah, I'm from Ohio, and, you know, and I just started driving a semi a few months ago, and I love it because I heard the episode you said about talking about a semi drivers, you know, how they see a lot, and I'm hoping to being out in these woods driving, and I'm hoping to see a lot more, you know, but like you said, I'd love, you know, in the future to, you know, to see some more interesting, you know, pictures, the good stuff. I know, like I said, that you have, and maybe, you know, I'll definitely, take it a little further, you know, and I'm willing to do whatever I got to do to, you know, just on my half, which ain't much, you know, to prove in the future, you know, to be one of the ones now saying that they're real, to where in the future when, you know, like I said, if something gives and, you know, they do find the body, or which I know bodies have been found, they just get covered up so quick, like a lot of the experiences you've had on your show. You know, you hear the government coming in and cleaning it up, and I think even the future bodies that are found, it's going to get covered up again, you know, until, I mean, I don't know what's going to have to be honest. I don't know what would have to give for this to come out and for people to know it's real, because it just keeps getting covered up so much, you know, and there's thousands of sightings. And
once enough of the public believes it, they'll come forth with it. And
right,
so
yeah,
it's just a matter of keeping doing what we're doing. And
right, exactly.
You keep
I agree.
Sharing, and there's going to be enough. They're going to be like, wow, most of the public believes it's real. We can tell about it now. And so
right.
Anyway, Bo, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your story, man. It was awesome, dude. And there's more stories coming for you too to listen for so that you can listen to while you're driving your truck and what have you. And you can listen to your own story coming up here in the next
that's cool, man. I appreciate that. Like I said, I'm stoked that you called, man. I really appreciate that. And hopefully I talk to you again here soon, man, and make it down your way one of these days, man, because you know, you're doing the right thing by putting all this out there. You know,
shoot me an email when you come through Kentucky, bro. We'll eat something. We'll stop.
I was thinking about that. Yeah. I will. Well, I like I said, I don't mean to ramble on, man. There's so much I wanted to ask you and tell you, so I guess we'll catch up here soon, one of these days, man. Awesome. Hey, thanks, Brenton.
Shoot me
very
email
much.
Anytime, bro, and I'll be willing to talk to you. And you know,
I sure will.
All right.
I sure will.
So
Thank you, Brenton.
Stay on the line right quick. And
okay, I will.
everybody out there in YouTube land, thank you for listening. If anyone wants to share a story here on the show, you can contact me at brentonsawin@gmail.com. If you want to contribute to help me make this show, then you can go to a link in the description, PayPal me, and make a contribution there. And every contribution is very much appreciated and very, very much helpful, especially at the beginning of the year. So God bless you, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye.